monster. I was going to potentially sing it, but then I decided not to. Monster. We have 3 monsters. JK, I'm lying, we have 4. I'm going rogue. The only reason I'm going rogue is because I know that Crump Zero, Crump, I know you've got a monster. And you know your girl likes her manly, buff, muscly Greek men, and so how could I resist that? So Crump's monster was not initially on this list, and that's because I don't think any of them could have anticipated how much I was gonna love Crump's Luck Runs Out. And I had such a good reaction that Mary kindly let me know, like, very subtly, of course, going, yeah, so Crump's got monster, you're gonna want to go rogue. And I was like, say less. Say less. Done. But we do have monster. So technically we have 4 monsters, even though initially it was 3. The few times I ever go rogue is truly if it's an animator that I absolutely, like, adore and I really want to see anything else that they've done, like, in a high level. Like, if it's not on the list, I'm putting it on the list. So it's not going to happen that often. Again, as I say, I do not plan to go rogue. This is just a rare occurrence because I really loved Crump's Luck Runs Out. So I was like, their monster's going on this list. You can't stop me. But for the 3 that are officially on the list, we have Orochi, I believe, Rochi. I'm thinking mochi, but with an R. So Orochi, Jiu, and Gigi. Or as I've been told, I probably don't want that little D in front, so it's more like Gigi. Possibly. Again, Gigi has not come and given me the correct pronunciation of their name. So we flounder a bit. But we do at least have 2 artists who are brand new to me here. So Orochi and Jiu, I have never seen anything by them. Very excited. Orochi's got quite the dramatic thumbnail. Rochi-chan! Okay, so I really do think it is like mochi, but with an R. So, Orochi. Let's go. Warning, semi-graphic content blood. Okay. Ooh.
How has everything been turned against us?
Okay, first off, love that we have this like a continuation directly from the scene with Tiresias. Like, Tiresias is standing there looking down on Odysseus. Like, that's a great opening shot. We're looking down on Tiresias. Why? Because Tiresias is the one ultimately holding the power in the scene, not in the way that we might usually think. Tiresias holds the power as he has the power of prophecy. And because he's the one who just told Odysseus all this stuff that's going to happen, admittedly in hyper vague terms, versus the Odyssey, where again, he's very explicit pretty much in what he tells Odysseus. But it reflects how Odysseus does not feel powerful in this situation. He feels like he's on the back step. He feels like a victim in this situation. Which, okay, look. Odysseus frequently notes in the Odyssey, like, you would not believe the pains I have suffered, the trials, the things that I've gone through. And as much as, yes, I kind of say that in a joking manner, he has. He has absolutely suffered. And again, one of the big themes or things that the Odyssey deals with is essentially PTSD. It deals with the aftermath of something like the war at Troy. It's about the way a conflict on that scale and the way that war makes humans behave and the death and destruction and the level of it absolutely decimates everyone, including the people who are alive at the end, and how nobody comes out of that unscathed. Nobody comes out of that and is unchanged or uninjured in some way. Again, one of the big things also, you could say, of not just the Odyssey, but also these songs, as we would say, of Cleos, because remember, they're not just telling stories, they are performed like songs. They're about grief. They're profoundly full of grief. Like, it's grief on a level you can't explain. And again, the Trojan War was such a unique conflict in its scale, in how long it lasted and how many people were involved in it, how many people ended up dead and or enslaved at the end of it, especially if you were a Trojan. It's profound grief. And the Odyssey makes that so clear. I mean, throughout the whole thing, especially when you spend the first 4 books with Telemachus and he meets these other heroes. Namely, he meets Nestor and Menelaus, obviously both of whom fought at Troy. And Nestor, who's seen many things, Nestor lost a son at Troy, you know, and he's seen so many people die before him. And then Menelaus, who was there where the whole thing at Troy was so personal for him. He was there because his wife was kidnapped. And poor Helen, that's the second time she was kidnapped in her lifetime. The first time happening when she was a young child. And that was Theseus and Pirithous. The people who were involved are still experiencing grief. And again, these songs of Kleos, these songs of glory for these heroes are often songs also of grief and of mourning in a way. Because again, heroes, you know, in the tradition, when you study the Greek hero, it's very much, they are chasing the perfect death. Ultimately, you're usually singing these songs, especially when after these people are gone, right? So I like that, again, Orochi has opened the scene showing Odysseus is the one who's not in power, not in control. I mean, yes, obviously you're never in control when it comes to prophecy. Like, there's nothing you can do when that prophecy is spat out into the universe. That's the prophecy. Good luck with that. But obviously the Odysseus here in Epic feels extremely helpless. He feels that he is not in control and in power. And again, in the underworld, that is sort of there with Odysseus, but obviously we make it far more personal. We make it much more about, don't you want to get home? What's awaiting you at home? You need to forget that person who had all this, you know, glory from Troy. You threw that away to get out of the Cyclops cave. You threw that away to be hyper clever, you know? You need to get home. You don't know what's going on there. It's been, at this point, 11 years, 12 or so, give or take a year or so for travel, right? Get home. You don't know what's there. You could just only find, well, I mean, Tiresias tells him, you're just going to find more pain at home. So it would be understandable for Odysseus to be feeling a whole lot of conflict and grief and devastation at this, which again, the underworld chapter in the Odyssey is just like, oh, fine, just like carve my heart out with a spoon, why don't you?
Why a spoon, cousin? Why not an axe?
Because it's dull, you twit. It'll hurt more.
Thank you to everybody who got the Robin Hood reference. But anyway, also, this is a fully black and white style. I absolutely love the either one brush or multiple brushes. It might just be a simple round brush that Orochi is using, but the values. So when we talk about values in art, we're talking about lighting. So light and dark are gorgeous, and the way stuff has been layered, it's so pretty, and I like it a lot. I like it a lot. And again, the character designs and styling, I see some nice facial features, even in just those 2 shots. Again, we're doing a young Tiresias. I'm not really gonna, like, the age of Tiresias is not something that's worth harping on. It's just not.
How did suffering become so endless?
Soul's moving behind him.
How am I to reunite with my
Let's shoot that good beard, some good scruff.
Do I need to change? I'm surrounded by the souls of those I've lost.
You gonna show them?
I'm the only one
I wondered if, but not. Oh, wow.
What if the greatest threat we'll find across the sea is me? What if I'm the monster? What if I'm in the wrong? What if I'm the problem that's been hiding all along?
Looking in the reflection. Ooh.
Every time I gave to guilt.
Oh, wow, I like that. I like that a lot. That Orochi decided, you know, we're looking down at the reflection. You know, it's so for those who didn't know, during one of the aftermaths of the Odyssey Book Club, we sat there and we started talking about like 600 Strike being so divisive a song, one that I wish I could scrub from my brain. Like, how could you have that confrontation with Poseidon and have it not be 600 Strike? And one thing I mentioned was the imagery of the mirror, which obviously you can look into the water, and that is, you know, like looking in a mirror. This is imagery that's, you know, gone back time ad infinitum. Like, it's been around for a very long time. And I was like, what you really need in that moment is not Odysseus actually fighting Poseidon, it's Odysseus fighting the mirror image of himself. And if Poseidon uses water to conjure up things like a mirror to truly present to Odysseus, shut up, you have not changed. You're the same man. Like, you're exactly the same, and we need to push Odysseus. Because of the way that Jorge has done the story, you need to push him to the brink so that we can lead into Ithaca. Again, one of my many, many problems with 600 Strike is it blows its narrative load, it blows the emotional impact, and I said that is not the big, dramatic, action-y climax. That's the slaughter of the suitors. You blew it way too early. And one thing I had mentioned was using water. We're on the sea and creating mirrors and doing stuff like that, or even summon, I don't know, a water person who looks like Odysseus, have Odysseus literally fighting with himself, which would add to the how does it feel to be helpless, all those lines where he's stabbing, and he's stabbing at himself because he's angry at himself in this moment. That's what pisses him off. He's mad at himself. He's the one who feels inadequate in Jorge's version, again. But so I like in here, Orochi has had him looking down in the waters of what I'm assuming, again, is meant to be the river Styx. And he's looking at himself, but then he also sees, again, these kind of ghostly images, these people who he's lost. And it freaks him out. We see Orochi's, animated, he steps back like that, which I love all of that gesture work. It's very, like, those poses tell a story. I wish somebody had given me something like the Dead Marshes vibe, if you're, like, really gonna go that route, which would be hard. And the Dead Marshes itself we'll most speculate kind of being inspired by essentially the way that No Man's Land was like in World War I, because if those areas filled with water, you just had bodies in there. It was awful. Anyway, just total side tangent to say, I really liked that bit of gesture where he backs up and it's like, ooh, there's some great expressions and like physicality going on here that I like a lot.
I've been far too kind to foes, but a monster to ourselves. What if I'm the monster?
Ooh.
Is the Cyclops struck with guilt when he kills? Is he up in the middle of the night? Or does he end my men to avenge his friend and then sleep knowing he is done?
Okay. Whoa. Hold the phone. First off, that transition of him looking toward the ship, seeing his men, they are all entirely silhouetted in black except for their eyes. And we then move to the imagery of the Cyclops. One, I'm assuming this is meant to be in Odysseus' head, but I love that Orochi went this route. Because again, this is adding action and dynamic movement and just visual interest to a song that is, again, a dude standing, singing in his feelings. Like, on the stage, that's pretty much what he'd be doing. Or you'd have to do something clever and interesting with the staging. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, your girl comes from loving a lot of musicals and also loving opera, where you stand on the stage and you sing in your feelings. That's the point of an aria. Like, duh. But again, this is animation. You get a sandbox you can play in. And I love that Orochi has gone this route. And also, there's been some great action poses going on here. I mean, doing the shot of him coming down, we're doing the swipes. We have him down in like the kind of crouched landing pose. I mean, frankly, Orochi, you just showing off your anatomy skills. I see you. You showing off those anatomy skills, them gesture skills. I see you. It looks great. Like, he really feels like he's in motion and he's moving, even if it's just in his head. And again, keeping something like Polyphemus and his, because we've gone from, again, the men being all silhouetted to Polyphemus being entirely silhouette, again, with the exception of his eye being white. It again tells me that we've like launched into his head, because this is a very, internal song. It's the internal conflict. So I love that Orochi said, and I'm gonna make it dynamic. Hell yeah.
When the witch turns men to pigs to
ooh, hi Circe.
Or did she learn to be colder when
having him dance, that's interesting.
When a god comes down and makes
show me your Poseidon.
is he scared that he's doing something wrong?
Ooh.
Or does he keep us in check so we must respect him? And
okay,
now know
I want to say this look for Poseidon. From what I understand, I think this was based on designs that were done, like official designs for Poseidon, and based a bit on Stephen Rodriguez, who sings the part, but with like the long hair. Fun fact about Poseidon's hair, actually. And this was something, thank you to Mariana for pointing this out in the Greek, because I would not have noticed this. It's in the Greek. The word that is used to describe Poseidon's hair, which is, like long and flowing, kaianokaetes. You can actually break that word down and you see the origins of the words for cyan. So I'm like, canon? He has dark blue hair? Now, likely, we are saying that Poseidon had very dark hair. It probably was something like a black, like a very dark brown, probably closer to a black even, and likely had whatever qualities in the reflection upon the hair gave it sort of a bluish tint. Because again, the ancient Greeks didn't really have words for colors in terms of hues. They spoke of color in terms of light and dark. Hence you get sort of infamous phrases like wine dark sea, which is something you see in translation a lot. And it's because, again, they didn't really have words for color. So it's a fun fact in that if you read a translation and they say a color like blue or purple or what have you, they are doing their best to translate what the Greek word is and what they likely meant, given the context of what's being spoken and what level of light and dark is sort of being described. It's also why Athena sometimes gets called gray-eyed Athena. The word that's actually used, I believe, is glaukos, and essentially means like bright and shining. It also, in terms of description of hues and colors, could have meant anything from like light gray, blue, green, yellow, like kind of no real definitive hue. Again, they didn't really have words for hues of color, but it was lighter eyes and they were bright, so they stood out, which, as somebody who's got Greek relatives, you see an awful lot of dark hair and dark eyes. Something like that would have stood out. Or does he throw away his remorse and save more lives with guile? If I Trojan War Odysseus. I like the label. Threw that guilt away. Would that make us stronger? Would it keep our foes at bay? If I became the monster to ever... And this is where I say, it's like Orochi visually in that way almost gets it. Where it says, who is, again, I talked about in No Longer You, the turning point of the underworld is Odysseus is transitioning from the hero, in the Odyssey at least, whose kleos, his glory, is tied to his exploits at Troy. But remember, with the Polyphemus incident, he stripped that away because he adopted the nomen of authes. He adopted the name of anonymity itself. He has tossed that away. Now the new hero is stepping forth in that his kleos is going to be tied to the completion of his nostos. Again, this will include the slaughter of the suitors. It's not just get back to Ithaca, it's get back to Ithaca, take your house back, set everything right, because Ithaca, again, is in this state of flux, and in many ways, you could say the macrocosm of Ithaca and the kind of neglect that he sort of finds there is a reflection of the microcosm in that the king is not there. This is something like anybody who's, you know, taken any sort of English class could tell you, like, you often talk about macro and micro, and the state of the kingdom and the king are, you know, related to each other, especially if you study stuff like Hamlet or King Lear, or even Oedipus Tyrannus or Oedipus Rex. You will absolutely see that the state of whatever the kingdom is a direct reflection of the state of the throne. So, similar to what something that's going on there. But again, in showing Trojan War Odysseus, can you be that guy? No, you can't. You're done. The Trojan War is over. You threw that away to get out of the Cyclops cave. You tried to reclaim it, but that backfired like crazy on you, and it did not work. And so you spent all of Circe being kind of muddled, and now we're in the underworld, and again, in the Odyssey, you have conversations with Tiresias, with Anticlea, and with Agamemnon, and all these others that make him realize, okay, time to get my ass in gear. And again, this is where I say, like, for me, the theme of ruthlessness, again, I'm on the fence about it, mainly because I still think it's not executed to the best of its ability. I think it's something that maybe could work, but he doesn't do it in a nuanced enough way that it feels like it does totally work. It again kind of feels like he gets lost in the sauce a little bit in various places, especially in the second act for me. And I think the theme of, like, becoming more ruthless would suit a story like Jason and Medea, because, oh my god, talk about people who go from 0 to absolute 100. Like, I mean, you get to the point where Medea's like, hey, Jason, let's murder my brothers and chop up their bodies so my dad has to stop and pick up the pieces. We get to the part where he goes, so I'm just going to throw away my wife who I'm married to. And she goes, well, I'm going to murder our children. Like, geez, you want to talk about people getting ruthless? Anywho, sorry, ADHD. It's late in the day. The meds have worn off. Anyway, back to this, because I am enjoying this. Hi, infant. I love the inclusion of all of this. Mercy upon ourselves, and deep down, I know this well.
I lost my best friend, I lost my mentor.
Wow.
500 men gone, this can't go on. I must get to see Penelope and to let.
Okay, I don't totally love that. It is very dramatic and dynamic, this idea that he is literally fighting with his own self. Again, this is imagery I would want in 600 Strike. You guys have no idea how much I would want to rewrite 600 Strike to be something like this, because I think it would work so well, and you ended with Poseidon just laughing because he has been satisfied. He wants to break Odysseus. If he thinks that he's emotionally broken Odysseus and cut through the hubris in some way, like really done it, and broken him to the point that Odysseus is like stabbing an image of himself, saying, how does it feel to be helpless? How does it feel to know pain? All of this, I think Poseidon would be satisfied. I think he would feel, you know what, that's all I wanted. I don't even need a sorry. That is all that I wanted. Because Odysseus had the chance to properly apologize, and he never does in Ruthlessness. So at this point, he's like, I want to break this hero. That's what Poseidon's like, and that's what I think 600 Strike should be. This is interesting. Also, there's really great lighting going on in here. Sorry. Again, I'm looking at the still frame, and we've got some, it's almost rim lighting, but not quite. Very hard lighting on the back of Odysseus. And again, Orochi, you are just showing off your anatomy and your gestures and your action. Would he fight with himself to not drop the infant? No, because that prophecy, this vision that Odysseus, I mean, it's really more of a prophecy that Zeus gives him, because it is hyper specific about what will happen if Astyanax lives, and they would all know this anyway. He wouldn't stop himself from doing it. That's the brutality of Odysseus. That's the thing that he knew and understood, distasteful as it was. And so that's part of the reason I don't like this, is he wouldn't go and battle himself. He should go in there, take the baby, and chuck it off himself. Because that sort of follows what the song is, right? The idea is he's supposed to be more ruthless. He shouldn't be trying to stop himself from killing the baby. He should be pushing himself over the wall with the baby. Like, that, to me, imagery makes more sense. But this is very dynamic. Again, Orochi, like, the amount of thought that clearly went into planning this out, and the way that, even though we're in his head, clearly, we're still kind of moving through space, almost in, like, stages. There's some really interesting stuff, and again, the lighting, all of the actual art is beautiful.
So if we must sail through dangerous oceans and beaches, I'll go where Poseidon won't reach us. And if I gotta drop another infant from a wall in an instant, so we all don't die,
so we were leading to this. Oh, great explosion out. And I've realized, yeah, we are still keeping this where he's singing to Tiresias. He's not really singing to himself, he's singing to Tiresias, which to me would lean into what I just said, where it still feels performative. It doesn't feel true. Now, part of this could be my serious cognitive, especially now when I'm looking at it in retrospect, a serious cognitive dissonance, where I'm like, but he's not ruthless. This is where, again, I say, I think the messaging and some of the stuff, you know, between beginning and end, needs to be tightened and refined so that it's so clear that I buy into the beginning. Because if I watch the beginning and I don't buy into it, then this song has less impact. I mean, it's also coming on the heels of No Longer You, so like, it's fighting the drama organ. And I can acknowledge that. But yeah, it's like I said many times, this is a concept album. I know that. It means it's not the finished product. It means it's going to go through more iterations. We hope. But this is interesting that we're having him singing to Tiresias about it. I think that's actually great, although I do think it highlights how performative this is, and how I don't think that's what Jorge meant for it to be. I don't think Jorge meant for it to be performative, but it's a problem if it does still feel this way. And frankly, this animatic, while not canon, is emphasizing that, in that we're having him sing to Tiresias. He's not just alone with his thoughts. Because what does it matter that he tells Tiresias? This lighting is so good. Oh, I love that shot. That great angle. Okay, so that image is on a slight tilt. We call that a Dutch angle. It's a very subtle Dutch angle, and it's a low angle. It's a low Dutch angle, which is so good, because what a Dutch angle usually means, and it was used so much in film noir during like the mid-20th century. Again, go watch a lot of really great classic They Will Be in Black and White film noirs, and if you're some of those people who don't watch stuff that was made before a certain time period, I guess skip this part because I can't talk to you. I don't understand that type of thinking, and I think it's a deep mistake. But you would use Dutch angles to show quite literally the world is out of joint. Something is slightly off. And if you're also doing it from a low angle, but we're the low angle and we're looking up at Odysseus, it's saying something is off, right? He's come to this decision, but it's clearly potentially not the right decision, and or he's still lying to himself because it's off, but we're also looking up at him, so he looks more menacing. So there's a lot being told in cinematic language there, and Orochi, that was so satisfying a shot. Also, the way that his cape is flowing out behind him, again, movement of fabrics, these are things that make me happy. And great things you can do when you're doing, say, an animatic, where you're not doing a billion frames within it, and you want to show motion, just have it so it looks like the cloak is blowing out. That creates instant motion in the mind of the viewer, because we can see that that cloth is moving, even if it's maybe not.
Oh, that shot was so satisfying.
Putting his hood up. Oh, was that to be the sword?
I'll become the monster.
Cut to black. Very nice. Honestly, Orochi, really great. I like that a lot. Orochi, one, I like your style. I love your shot choices. I love your shot choices so much. Your use of angles and the way you use the camera to help tell the story, the dynamism that was brought to this scene through the choices that you made. Even if some of them I don't totally live, doesn't matter. I appreciate the effort and I see what you're trying to do, and I think absolutely amazing way to bring action to this song. A song that doesn't necessarily have a lot of action in it in terms of the storytelling of what's happening. But wow, Orochi, you just said, nah, I'm gonna bring in action. I'm gonna make it intense. Well done. Next up, we have Jiwoo. I'm saying it like it's Korean, and I'm doing my best, so I'm sorry if I did mispronounce that. We got Jiwoo, and we have an immediate trigger warning for flashing lights. Okay, everybody's just up here with their warnings. I appreciate at least if people are gonna put warnings for what's gonna be in their animatics, they're specific about what's gonna be there. Do I know it's gonna be flashing lights? Is it gonna be blood and gore? Or is it gonna be body horror? Like, whatever it is. I do appreciate that. And flashing lights are great. I don't necessarily have supreme, like, sensitivity to flashing lights, but I do have lighter eyes, which makes me a little photosensitive. And nobody really loves being flashed at without knowing it's gonna happen.
That was not meant to sound the way that it did.
Ooh, thick lines, okay.
Been turned against us.
Hello, armor. I see you with them muscles.
How am I to reunite with my estranged? Do I need to change?
Beautiful Penelope, of course. She must always be gorgeous. Him pushing away the image.
Surrounded by the souls of those I've lost. I'm the only one whose line I haven't crossed. What if the greatest threat we'll find across the sea is me? What if I'm the monster? What if I'm...
Interesting. Okay, one thing I will note. This would imply that he's out of the underworld. Because, I mean, again, I don't know if Jiwoo knows this. When it comes to the underworld, you have to cross what is said to be the Great River Oceanus, and there is no sun in the underworld. Again, one of the big things, and sort of the whole thing with like a big thing in the underworld is that there's no sun. It's one of the things that Helios threatens when he finds out that Odysseus' men decide that some of his cattle, as he goes, I will bring the sun down to the underworld and it ain't coming back up. Fix this! Like, that's what Helios threatens. Again, there's no sun in the underworld. So if he's looking out and seeing in any way a sunrise or sunset, that would imply he's no longer in even that sort of lobby area of the underworld, as I kept calling it. Now I would think we're back in his head. We might not be, though, because we are surrounded by people. I do like that he's in... This could be a totally untoned gray, but it does look like it's got a little bit of blue hue to it, versus everything else being kind of like a very light, almost sepia color. Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
I'm in the wrong. What if I'm the problem that's been hiding?
I guess he's not in his head.
What if I'm the one who killed you? Every time I cave to
So we're outside the underworld by
what
this
if
point.
I've been far too kind to foes, but a monster to ourselves? What if I'm the monster? Is the Cyclops struck with guilt?
Oh, nice
when he kills?
transition.
Is he up in the middle of the night? Or does he end my men to avenge his friend and then sleep knowing he's done right? When the witch turns men to pigs to protect her nymphs, is she going insane?
Oh, giving her a braid.
Or did
Hello.
she learn to be colder when she got older and now she saves them the pain? When a god comes down and makes a fleet drown,
Hi,
is he scared
Poseidon.
that he's doing something wrong? Or does he keep us in check so we must respect him and now no one dares to piss?
Talk about a design for Poseidon. Also, Rip Bill, rest in sheep Bill. Interesting design for Poseidon. The way he like comes out of the sea like he's wrapped in it, and then he look like we're going friggin' this sort of like I always say the Ursula tentacle route. Very interesting. But again, I do like the transition, physically moving it that way, using these almost frames around each image. I like this a lot. Great use of color in here too. I'm a sucker for cool tones anyway, so like purples and blues and stuff always catch my eye. These are some great, like well-framed, well-composed shots too.
Does a soldier use a wooden horse to kill sleeping Trojans 'cause he is vile?
Do I see broom helmets?
Throw away his remorse and save more lives with guile. If I
saw broom helmets.
Threw that guilt away. Would that make us stronger? Would it keep our foes at bay?
Ooh.
If I became the monster.
I see you with that glitch. That's not just chromatic aberration, that's called glitching. Or you're creating artifacts, essentially, to distort an image. Very nice effect. I like it. One, the bit of color obviously is a big contrast, as this is being right now done in kind of black and white. We have the faceless sort of creature that's coming, I say creature, like image of a person comes out, but they glitch, and we do see a helmet, we see all of this. Very nicely done, very nicely done. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? There's an unease it creates. It's disconcerting is kind of like that image of this faceless sort of creature that comes up, but it glitches into something else, but then it goes back and you're just like, whoa, what was that? It's similar to, if anybody knows, I'm sure most people know, the film Fight Club has a lot of what are known as flash frames, which literally it'll be a single frame and it'll be done to like constantly interrupt shots, and they are, some people even call them subliminal frames, and it's because they are so quick you sometimes don't even register them, or it's like you barely register them, but then you're moving on and your brain is thinking of something else. Now, again, it's done very deliberately in that film Fight Club, and it's being done deliberately in a way here, even though that's not a flash frame. That kind of glitching distortion has a similar effect. It puts you off, it throws you off, it catches you by surprise. Very well done.
Everyone but us.
It also very much makes me think of, sorry, I'm pausing again. If anybody saw the very wonderful film Annihilation with Natalie Portman and a whole bunch of others, a kind of sci-fi Southern Gothic horror, there's a scene that takes place in the finale, which I don't want to give away that much, but does sort of involve like a faceless kind of thing that starts to double and become this other person in the scene, and it's done really well. It is very off-putting, and this is having a similar effect. I like that. I don't know if she was inspired by something like that, but that's where my brain goes, and it's a great imagery for me to like fall back on in my head, because it's serving kind of a similar purpose in terms of, again, we're talking about identity, and we're talking in this in terms of the feeling being created here of deep unease.
If we're unjust, if I became that. Oh, ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves.
Ooh, those perspective on those hands. I see you.
I lost my best friend, I lost my mentor, my mom, 500 men gone. This can't go on, I must get to see Penelope and Telemachus. So if we must sail through dangerous oceans and beaches, I'll go where Poseidon won't reach us. And if I gotta drop another infant from a wall in an instant so we all don't die, then I'll become the monster.
Okay. Dissipating the old hymn like a cloud. Okay, I see you. I see you, Jew. I love that. I love this imagery of him like swatting things away. This is, again, while it's not as, we could say, upfront dynamic the way that Orochi is, there is dynamism being created here in the way that we're moving the camera around, that he's constantly in motion, he's turning around and doing things. That's really well done. Again, for a song that is him standing here in his feelings. That's how you create that interest. And that's similar to what people would do on stage. You'd have the person pacing, moving around, likely doing stuff like that. I love the way that that was thought. And then again, you get to do cool stuff like we show the image of Trojan War Odysseus about to yeet Astyanax off the walls, and he just comes busting through it. And again, he's in it's very clearly a blue. It's not just like a cool toned gray. This is a blue. It's not a hyper saturated blue, but it's a blue. It's a beautiful blue, by the way. It's a gorgeous shade. Busting through, which again creates even more visual interest because everything else was in grayscale. So that blue stands out. Some great stuff going on here. The ship isn't totally right, but like whatever. Whatever. That's such a minor thing. Oh, the cloth, the cape. The capes have been great. Okay. Again, love, we're not seeing Telemachus' face.
I'll become the monster.
Oh, it's an owl. I see. Another one who did like an owl pin holding his cloak up and together. Very well done. Very different from Orochi. Take a completely different route. Still equally as dynamic, but in a different way. I love, again, this idea that he's talking sort of, you know, in his own head to this sort of like faceless image. And then at the end, obviously, Duo has sort of Odysseus emerging out of that. Like he's in the shadow, he's coming into the light. It's great stuff going on here. I like it so much. Also, the armor was very interesting. It's I really love that you can tell it's sectioned pieces, that it's actually not that big. It very much reminds me of some of the armor that was worn by, say, Achilles in the 2004 film Troy. And again, I always say, if you want to have a good idea of what like Bronze Age or Mycenaean age armor looked like, or what likely the Greek heroes were wearing, I always recommend the art by the late, great Peter Connolly, who used archaeological evidence to create what are known as historical illustrations, and they are absolutely fabulous. And lots of different armor types and helms and everything else. But I did actually like that. Again, I liked that it's in pieces, that it seemed a little smaller. It made it stand out from other armor and outfits that I've been seeing the various Odysseus's wearing. And again, I noticed the, call it like the little pin, if we will, that's holding his cloak. It does look like it's supposed to be the face of an owl. Which is not the first time I've seen somebody do that, but I do like that. Very well done, Shimu. Ooh, some really interesting stuff. And I do love your style in how you, again, where you choose to do close-ups on things and how you transition out between the whole scene. Very well done. And now the moment that Mary has been waiting for. And if you think I'm kidding, when I tell you that Mary has constantly said she is vibrating in excitement, bouncing up and down, waiting for the moment I react to Gigi's monster, it's not an exaggeration. You've been waiting for this day, Mary. Here it is. We have Gigi, which I'm expecting at least a return of the image that was in Gigi's Horse and the Infant and Just a Man, of that sort of faceless kind of meant to be like the older Astyanax. I expect a return of that. That's the vibe I feel would return. And again, playing with the idea of a faceless creature and Odysseus is superimposing himself mentally onto that fits the imagery. What is going to be your 360 spin shot, Gigi?
There always is one.
We have a flash warning. Lego.
How has everything been turned against us? How did suffering become so endless? How am I to reunite with my estranged? Do I need to change?
I liked the start of that, where it seems he puts his face in his hands, and then he does like this and stuff. I wish he'd almost stayed in his hands like this more and just like brought them sort of down his face, because I think that's such a good image. And again, we're doing the big turning points. I love seeing him feeling like he's at the brink of some kind. Very well done. But again, way more frames than I would ever expect any of these artists to do. I mean, I say that for all of them, because I'm just like, how much work? Oh my God.
I'm surrounded by the souls of those I've lost. I'm the only one whose line I haven't crossed.
Oh, nice.
What if the greatest threat we'll find across the sea
Look in the mirror.
is me?
Nice.
What if I'm the monster? What if I'm in the wrong? What if I'm the problem that's been hiding all along? What if I'm the one who killed you every time I
love
gave to guilt?
the mirror
What if
of the
I've
reverse
been
line work
forcing
down
kind
below.
of foes, but a monster to ourselves? What if I'm the monster?
There it is.
Is the Cyclops struck with guilt when he kills? Is he up in the middle of the night? Or does he end my mental
another cute
avenge
moment
his
with the
friend and then
sheep.
sleep knowing he is done right? When the
Rest
witch
in sheep,
turns men to
boo.
pigs to protect her nymphs, is she going insane? Or did she learn to be colder when she got older and now she saves them the pain? When a god comes down and makes a fleet drown, is he scared that he's doing something wrong? Or does he keep us in check so we must respect him? And
Oh, I
now
love
no
seeing
one
the bit of the
dares to kiss him off?
sacrifice.
Does a soldier use a wooden horse to kill sleeping Trojans cause he is
colors.
vital? Or does he throw away his remorse and save more lives with guile?
Is that my beard? Was that my beard dude with the eye scar? But he's got like a little thing over his eye now. Was that my same beard dude? Okay, look, we all know I have a love affair with random crew member beard dude and eye scar beard dude with eye scar. My fave, who I know is going to die at some point, whether it be in Scylla or Thunderbringer. I don't care. I'm in denial over it, okay? I'm in denial over the fact I'm gonna lose my favorite dude. I like these flashes to the other characters who he's singing about, as much as like it's not my favorite bit of the song. Lyrically, I like visually how it's being presented. So very well done.
Came the monster and threw that guilt away. Would that make us stronger? Would it keep our
Love the
fears
work
at
and the
bay?
reflection at his feet.
If I became the monster, everyone
It is a broom
but
helmet,
us,
but you know.
and made
yes.
sure we got home again. Who would care if we're unjust?
Again, giving me Annihilation vibes.
Oh, ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves. And deep down I know this well. I lost my best friend, I lost my mentor.
Oh, nice
my
moving
mom,
through space.
500 men gone, this can't go on. I must get to see Penelope and Telemachus. So if we must sail through
Okay. I gotta say, I love that Gigi has maintained Telemachus as a baby here. I love that. Thank you so much. Because again, in his mind, Telemachus is an infant. You know, he only ever knew him as an infant. So I love that we've maintained that in Odysseus' head here. That makes me so pleased. And again, moving through space. We're pushing through, creating a sense of 3D space. Oh, well done. It's great use of the Z-axis.
dangerous oceans and beaches. I'll go where Poseidon won't reach
Wow,
us. And if I gotta
very
clap
dynamic.
another infant from a wall in an instant so we all don't die,
Ooh,
then I'll
nice.
become the monster.
Very well done.
I will deal the blow.
All the chromatic aberrations going on. Beautiful.
So what if I'm the monster?
Very dynamic.
Digging deep below, I must be
And the other thing I like is the fact that the lines have jitter. Jitter is usually what we use to describe like the stuff is moving, even if it's not, you know, actually moving around. It's shaking. It's jitter. It's quake. I love that all of these lines, well, not quite action lines. I don't think that's the word I want to use, but all of these shapes and these lines and these strokes have a jitter to them. It again creates so much sense of motion, which Gigi loves motion. It's very clear in how fluid stuff moves. And that's not just a testament to how many frames Gigi is using here, but it's also in the way that Gigi uses shapes and manipulates them to flow in and out of each other. So there's a lot going on in here that's absolutely gorgeous. And again, a great sense of motion when in fact he's standing reasonably still. I mean, he's doing some physical stuff, but not an awful lot. And again, as I said, great use of, I'm just going to call it the Annihilation golem, this faceless creature image, which again, like I said, I knew we were going to harken back to that, harkening back to that from The Horse and the Infant and Just a Man, really Horse and the Infant. Great use of it. Like, this is almost, I guess, supposed to be meant to be like, oh, this is like the Spider-Man Venom moment, isn't it? That's what this is. This is the Spider-Man Venom moment. Like, the symbiote taking over kind of thing. Again, it's beautiful imagery. It does all highlight and make me laugh how I think the musical kind of doesn't live up in a way to how good a lot of this animation is, because the animation is doing so much work in a way where I'm so aware, especially in retrospect, of how the musical doesn't quite nail its messaging here. But it is beautiful animation. Rip off the headband. The Polities headband, I see.
I'll become the monster.
Ooh, nice expression. I mean, there was a lot less flash than I thought there was gonna be. Like, damn, Gigi, you threatened me with flashing lights, and that was a lot less flash than I thought there was gonna be. I was like waiting to just be like blinded by flashing light, but no, that was beautiful. It was beautiful. Mary, are you happy now? Are you happy now, Mary? No, that was really well done. Mary, I can see why you like it, Mary. I can see why anybody would like that. That's just sort of cut and dry goes for every single piece of animation I've watched as part of this series. Like, I see why anyone loves and recommends any of these artists and their work. It's absolutely phenomenal. And Gigi really, in here, started pulling out a lot of the stops, because that final push from the last bridge into the final chorus is a lot of work and done very well. Again, we're doing our, I guess I'm now calling it the Spider-Man and Venom moment, because that's the whole vibe I get. Very well done. Very well done. And again, great expressions, great use of camera and the space. And really for me, like I say, Gigi for me is about motion and shapes transitioning into other shapes, and the way that shapes flow from one into the other. It's very well done. Again, really makes it feel fluid even, and can do a lot of, even though Gigi is clearly doing a lot of frames in many of these sections, like so many frames, and it's so clear, even doing less frames, that fluidity would still be there because of the way that Gigi uses shape language and uses shapes to transition in and out of each other. So absolutely gorgeous. And now this one is for me. I get to go rogue. I get to watch Crump Zero's Monster. Yeah, I'm going rogue. Sorry, I'm very excited. Very excited. I've seen some great monsters so far, but we all know I want my big buff Greek, my manly Greek men. I want my big buff Greek men. And I'm very curious to see some of the imagery that Crump will give me, because Crump did some really cool stuff in Luck Runs Out that I liked a lot. So I'm so curious how Crump does this song of all of them. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Oh my god, hi Cerberus. Greek thighs. Some good thighs.
How did suffering become so endless? How am I to reunite with my estranged? Do I need to change?
Holding on this shot a good while.
I'm surrounded
That's
by
why.
souls of
Wow.
those I've lost. I'm the only one whose line I haven't crossed.
Wow.
What if the greatest threat we'll find across the sea
Wow.
is me? What if I'm the monster? What if I'm in the wrong?
Okay, Crump, I see you. Initially, I was wondering why we were holding on that shot for so long. Crump, you're smart. That's very smart. That's a complete change of pace. From what we've seen, a lot of people adding lots of dynamic motion and movement. Crump is utilizing the stillness. Crump is utilizing how alone Odysseus is in this moment. The only thing that are passing him are these ghosts, real or imagined, in his head. This is Odysseus alone, with his thoughts, when forced to be alone, truly alone in this moment. That's a complete 180 from what the other three artists I've seen have done, where they really fill the frame and fill the space. That's pretty daring, actually, to just leave it be Odysseus walking and really holding on there and making you a little uncomfortable even. Waiting. That's a choice. Interesting. And then, of course, to use that as a transition into giving us a close-up, and now we're looking at his hands. Ooh.
What if I'm the problem that's been hiding all along? What if
Again, I
I'm
love
the
this
one
textured
who
brush that you use.
every time I gave to guilt? What if I've been far too kind to foes, but a monster to ourselves? What if I'm the monster?
Oh, I see you.
Is the Cyclops
The
struck
red
with guilt
eyes.
when he kills? Is he up in the middle of the night? Or does he end my men to avenge his friend and then sleep?
It's a very furry Cyclops.
When the witch turns men to pigs to protect her nymphs.
Ooh, I
is she
love your
going
Circe.
insane?
Look at her.
Or did she learn to be colder when she...
And again, love we see all the other animals with Circe. That's so nice because again, there's some great famous paintings of Circe surrounded by these various sort of, as they would say, exotic wild animals, these beasts that she had around her who behaved very tame. No, they were not men changed into animals. They were just animals. She clearly just has an ability to sort of tame wild animals. Yeah, and I will always say it. Also kind of like that these nymphs, even if they do look younger, we've just made them look human, really. Like, we're not giving anybody pointed ears here. We're not doing any of that. And I think that's actually quite nice. Again, Crump's style stands out.
When a god comes down and makes a fleet drown, is he scared that he's doing something wrong? Or does he...
You gave him a hippocampus. He's on the hippocampus. Also, they have unicorn horns, which I love. They're probably meant to be more inspired by narwhals, but like, whatever. You gave Poseidon the hippocampus. Things I did not know I would get, and I'm so pleased to have. Oh my god. Yep, the hippocampus, this water horse creature, this seahorse, if you will. This pleases me. This pleases me. Also, your Poseidon, also a smash. He's a big burly Poseidon, a smash. Total smash. Smash. I mean, that Poseidon could absolutely smash me into smithereens. And I mean that actually physically and literally. He's, again, Crump, I love your style. I love how heavy and, like, it doesn't feel like the right word. Like, I'm not trying to say, like, they're heavy, they're big, they're thick set. I mean, just, like, tactile. How rooted in the world these characters feel. They, like, giving them musculature. They don't look like they're gonna be blown away by the wind. I love it. And this look for Poseidon. Mwah. Chef's kiss. Everything. I'm just need to screenshot that.
Keep us in check, so we must respect him. And now knowing there's a piece of
expression!
Does a soldier use a
Oh
wooden
wow,
horse
look
to
at your
kill
horse.
Trojans 'cause he is
The lack of
wild?
ears is a little
Or does he
disconcerting,
throw
but I
away
like it.
his remorse and save more lives with guile? If I became the monster,
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. One, I will tease you over the broom helmet. I have to. It's obligatory. You must be teased. However, you did do the very intense, I do believe it is called a Corinthian helm, shape, and keeping him entirely in shadow until we're zooming in and then we're busting him out again. Great use of cinematic storytelling and through animation, which is its own sandbox, and the way that you have these ghosts kind of surrounding Odysseus. You've given them a really nice, I mean, it looks like you're still using this beautiful, again, textured brush, which I really do like. Again, the texture just adds so much more. It's just very lightly pastel shaded. I mean, you would almost say it gives a watercolor effect, but the texture kind of cancels that out, but it does make it seem to glow in a way that's very nice and contrasts with Odysseus, who's being kept entirely in grayscale. This is so good.
that guilt away. Would that make us stronger? Would it keep our foes at bay? If I became the
Run, my
monster
man.
to everyone but us, and made sure we got home again, who would care if we're unjust? If I became
Red eyes?
Oh, ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves.
I love the desperation in his
And
face.
deep down, I know this well. I lost my best friend, I lost my mentor, my mom, 500 men gone. This can't go on. I must
that
get
image.
to see Penelope
Oh.
and Telemachus. So if we must sail through dangerous oceans and beaches, I'll go where Poseidon won't reach us. And if I gotta drop another infant from a wall in an instant so we all don't die, then I'll
Bust out.
become the monster.
Really leaning into the red eyes, which you teased in Luck Runs Out, and I liked a lot. you really come full circle with it here. Again, great use of continuing storytelling, set up something early so you can deliver on it later. And these sort of images of these ghosts, I love that you're including the almost kind of like skull, dripping kind of skull look, because I mean, it really makes it off-putting. Which it should, like his kind of like panic and confusion makes sense if they look like that. Which again, yeah, souls in the underworld, they just look like themselves. But if they don't look like that, I'd be way more freaked out by them. And the baby coming towards him, first you're like, oh, it's a baby, and then just the skull, and I'm like, damn, okay. But I figured you would have him come busting through, because I mean, having the deep overwhelm to bust through, it's a good traumatic moment. Oh, the images that you create here are so nice. Is very, and it's very unique. You have a very unique style that I clearly very much like, and you just make great use of when you're going to use more static imagery versus really leaning into a ton of motion, just so that every image and the way it's being presented really does have such a purpose, and I can tell. And the fact that you have such strong lines, I think makes that even more clear. And Odysseus with the red eyes looks, mwah, chef's kiss, looks great. And the fact that on this still image, he's in motion, so you dragged the red out of the frame to help indicate that he's in motion again, along with the hair flowing back. Oh. Chop up the mazes! Oh. It's very like... There's a couple shots, I'm pausing again, because I don't want to miss anything. There's a couple shots in here that remind me very much of like really good stills and frames from the manga Berserk, which is a fabulous manga, and RIP to the creator, gone too soon. I think he had health problems, but ooh, and I like it a lot. Red eyes look so good. Climbing up. Wow. Of course Penelope's gorgeous. It's coming to the light.
I'll become the monster.
Ooh, in the sword, I like that. You use the sword. The sword is metal. It's reflective. I'm so glad I went rogue. I'm so glad I went rogue. Ah. You know, for a song that I'm kind of like meh on, in general, I am very meh on Monster. Like, it's fine. It's a fine song. It's not my favorite. It's not my least favorite. These animatics are phenomenal. The animatics are gorgeous. Like, man, you people, all four of you freaking cooked with these animatics. And again, made me very interested in a song that I am generally kind of meh on. And that's the power of animation. That's the power of art. That's the power of these artists. And again, having to remember that none of these are canon. This is just fan art, basically. But incredible fan art. Like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
But that is the end of Act 1 of the animatics. I'll announce it here. I'm taking a slight break. My work, you already know that I've gone to only uploading once a week, and that's because my workload has gotten more intense due to some stuff that goes around with my big girl job, if we call it that. So I need to take like 2 weeks, kind of at most, to sort of get the chance to reset and do some more filming in advance. And also there are some other things that I want to work on. I had promised people in the Discord I would do a cover of the challenge, and I've had no time to actually work on that. Everybody knows that I jokingly created a kind of parody of your idol called Your Sea God, and people want me to finish that. So it's like, I need to be able to have the time to do it without worrying about getting my weekly releases out. Because that is the thing where I'm like, I'm on a schedule and that's on time. So I need probably minimum like 2 weeks to be able to try and like be able to have the breathing room to do that, and hopefully film some stuff advanced, so I'm only having to edit my weekly releases for the rest of these animatics, and feeling a little less time crunched and stressed, given how my workload for my regular job has increased pretty dramatically since like July, August. But we finished with Act 1. I'm very excited to get into Act 2. And I hope to continue to see animatics that, you know, a lot of people know and really want me to see, as well as maybe see some that are new to even you guys, which is, it's kind of cool when I see people say, you know, I've never actually seen that one before. And I'm like, man, I love when we're all having a new experience. That makes it fun for everybody. But there we go. That was all the monsters. Well done. Everybody, take your flowers. Take your applause. Just well done.